Okay, thank you for being here. It's my pleasure to be joined by Supervisor Horenberg, and we have John Schultz from the Niagara County Director of OEM. I'm joined by Commissioner Basil Sagos, who's the Commissioner of DEC, Mike Copey, who is the head of the State Emergency Management Operation. I want to thank all our other colleagues for being here, the National Guard, that has already done a great job preparing sandbags and a lot of equipment. As everybody knows, the water level in Lake Erie is at an historic high, and that is causing all sorts of problems. I would like to say this is the first time we've dealt with it. Unfortunately, it's not. 2017, we saw record levels. We saw record flooding, spent tens of millions of dollars in damage. Many people's homes were destroyed, businesses were destroyed, and unfortunately we're looking at the same type of situation all over again. It's a situation that's managed by the IJC, and we've had an ongoing dialogue, not always the most polite or happy dialogue. There's going to be a meeting with the IJC tomorrow with New York State representatives to talk about how the IJC has been managing the water. I believe that New York State has been disrespected in that process, and I believe that New York State has been asked to shoulder more pain and more damage than the surrounding jurisdictions. We are very considerate of our neighbors, and we're considerate of the surrounding jurisdictions. But this is year after year after year after year. It's the same discussion. It's the same between a rock and a hard place, where the IJC says, well, there's nothing they can do because there's flooding in Canada, there's flooding in other places. But this is not a sustainable situation. It's just not. We can't go through this every year. And the IJC has to figure out a better way to manage the water, period. That is their job. And I understand all the constraints, but to me, they are excuses, and there has to be a way to manage the water flow so New Yorkers are not constantly being flooded out of their homes. So that's a matter for the IJC. And that, I believe, is going to be the long-term solution, is getting the IJC to do a better management at their jobs. And we now have New York representation on the IJC, which is something we've been asking for a long time. And hopefully we get a better response from the IJC and more consideration from the IJC now that there's a New Yorker. Short term, we still have to deal with the situation that we're presented with. And this is a very challenging situation for communities all along the lakes. It's especially problematic here in Newfane, and we want to come up with the strategy and a plan that we can execute now before damage occurs to try to reduce and alleviate the problem that we anticipate. Hopefully, Mother Nature comes up with a different course and the lake doesn't rise any higher, but we're already at record levels. And our motto is always hope for the best but prepare for the worst. And we know what the worst can look like in this situation. We'll have a several-pronged strategy. We've spoken with the supervisor, and we have a plan of action. We have to make sure the drainage system doesn't back up from the lake and cause flooding. We need a pumping system for the pond in this area, which actually acts as a holding basin, a catch basin. And then the pump station itself, the sewer system, needs pump capacity to be pumped to another station so that doesn't get flooded. We're also going to look at fortifying the shore line where we can You tend to know where the lake is going to come because it's where the lake came before. And we'll fortify the shoreline where we can with more material, more earth. And we have a product which is a rubber temporary dam that you fill with water that is about a 3-foot dam that we can put in place. We've used it before, it's been effective, and we have to find the right locations to put up those temporary dams that can actually prevent damage. To the extent there are private residences that we could help, we have to reach out to those private residences and see if they want us to assist with our product. DEC is going to issue today a general permit which will basically pre-permit residences and businesses along the water to make the kinds of short-term repairs, emergency repairs they need to make. And I want to applaud Commissioner Sigos for his creativity there. DEC takes their regulatory role very seriously, and they should. But when there's an emergency situation, people don't have time to go through a permitting process. DEC is also appreciative and responsive to that, and they will be acting accordingly, and the Commissioner will give more details about that in a moment if anyone is interested. I want to applaud the supervisor and the county officials who have been doing an extraordinary job in a very difficult situation. It seems like we just went through this in 2017, and we just went through the pain, and we've spent literally $100 million in rebuilding after 2017, and now it looks like we're looking at 2017 all over again, unless something changes. So I understand it's a difficult situation, but we've gone through difficult situations before, and we come together, and we work together, and we partner together, and we do the best with what we can. And we will do that once again, and we're going to start now before the situation becomes critical. So again, we can alleviate the damage, and we can be prepared the best we can. Mother Nature has thrown us a curveball, and we have tended to treat these situations as episodic, isolated situations. I can't tell you how many times people have said to me, well, this is a once in a 100-year event. Yeah, once in a 100-year event happens now 4 or 5 times a year, right? This is a new weather pattern that we're dealing with. So while we're dealing with these emergency issues, we also have to start to think about long-term construction investments that we can make that prevent these situations from occurring in the future. 2017, this year, I would expect this to happen again in the future. We hope the IJC does a better job, but you had high rainfall, you had high snowpack, you had accelerated melting. We have to start to build and adjust for this new weather reality. And rather than spend $100 million rebuilding after an emergency, I'd rather spend that money building a new infrastructure with a new design so we don't have the damage in the first place. That's a larger undertaking, but it's a smarter investment for us long term, and something we have to start working towards together. But again, to the supervisor, God bless him for his public service and his knowledge of the system and his commitment to the people of his community. And again, to the county officials, thank you very much for your help and your partnership. I'll now turn it over to Supervisor Horenberg, and then we'll hear from John Schultz from Niagara County. Supervisor?
Thank you, Governor.
Thank you.
First of all, I'd like to thank the Governor for taking time to come to our small community and see what we've been wrestling with. Like you say, 2017, and we were hoping it wouldn't happen again, but I think we're a lot more prepared, but there's a lot of people I'd like to thank. Jonathan Schultz, Niagara County Director of Emergency Management. Because we're a small municipality, we can't do this on our own. And then we have our county legislator, John Syracuse, and Dave Godfrey. Like I say, it's a county and town, and most of all, state. We've got state pumps here. We've got Office of Emergency Management has been great to Jonathan, and returned great to us. Like I say, we couldn't do it without you people. We couldn't do it. And one question the governor asked when he got here was, "What's the name of the pond?" And I said, "The name of the pond is the pond." That's the name of it. So,
He got it right.
so we got to see we got three problems. We got the high water, we got the rough water, and we have a sewer problem that we need to deal with. Part of our infrastructure that is soon to be in big trouble. But I think with your help today, it's going to be a big help for the town of Newfane. Hopefully, we'll get it underway. But one thing I told the governor that we'll do, I told you to shut this off, is if in fact to solve my rough water problem, if he helps me build the break wall out front of the harbor here, the pond will then become the Governor Mario Cuomo pond of the future. Again, thank you for everything you're doing
Thank you
for
very
us.
much. Thank you, Supervisor. Here's John. John?
Really, just a couple of quick notes. Really, first off, thank the governor for coming out today and seeing what we're faced with here in our small community and our small county, and really thank the local DPW, our county DPW, for what they're doing. Countless hours they have, and even our first responders with the responding that they're doing, presently with what we have with the flooding coming and the potential flooding that we're going to have. And also our partners in OEM, OFPC, and even state DOT with the assets and resources they brought to us for pre-staging, and then also starting to actually deploy assets today, get things in place so when the flooding does occur in the next few days to a week, we're ready for our citizens to make sure we provide the best for them and protection for them. So really thank you for everything you did today, and thank you everyone.
Thank you.